ECOWAS applied a punishment that we have never seen elsewhere in the world. We cannot close a border, prevent medicines from entering, cereals from entering, cut off electricity and seal the borders. When we cut off the electricity in our health centers throughout the country due to lack of energy production, 375 deaths were recorded. This is very serious, and which is what happened. But I want to quickly tell you what happened this morning with the IMF mission, which arrived.
Before we go any further, that right there that he just said is very telling what was causing the issue between Benin and Niger. When Benin had originally blocked their borders from Niger, and I said this before in other videos, they caused death, almost 400 deaths they caused by blocking their borders, closing their port to Niger. Why? Because they also take the electricity, which means the hospitals' machines cannot work, medications cannot be distributed to sick people because they're blocked from the port. Cereal and milk and food was also not entering the country because of, again, the border blockage. So, babies get sick and they get hungry and they pass. And I put this at the foot of the puppet president of Benin, allow Westerners to convince him to punish his own black brothers and sisters, his neighbor, his brother's keeper, from losing their lives all because of listening to the French in this estate. Anyway, let's continue listening. I don't want to talk too much.
For the midterm review, 2 midterm reviews. Already in Washington, D.C., we agreed on the keeping of this mission. In our understanding, it was a mission which had to focus on 2 important things. The first is on how to help our country regain normality as a whole. Normality as a whole is first and foremost about helping to ensure one's own safety. We are not asking the IMF to finance the country's security. This is part of the role that the state itself must play. But we have warned the IMF from blaming us, because we have deployed resources to ensure the security of our territory, to ensure the security of people and to ensure the security of their property. Whatever the beauty of a program, whatever the relevance of a macroeconomic reform, we should be alive. It is also necessary that to be alive, one must have assured security, and to have assured security, one must have the means of one's own security. I assure you, you cannot imagine what is done for this. These men in uniform do not sleep with the means on board. So we said our priority is first and foremost our own safety. The second fundamental element, through the recovery and return to normality, is to see how we are going to mobilize resources to respond to this challenge in terms of food. It is important that something must be done to firstly allow our own farmers to produce, always in line with security. Everyone knows that today, it is our oil or uranium than agriculture and livestock, which constitute the true foundations of our economy. So the idea of the head of state, and the view as well, is to allow these 2 breasts of the economy to be able to respond to the needs which are essential for us. But when we see what is happening, both in the far west of the country and in the east, we are fundamentally attacking these 2 breasts. When we kill farmers, when we burn granaries, when we prevent the farmers from sowing, and when we take away their livestock, in reality, we condemn them to extinction. That is fundamentally what is targeted. These attacks that we are undergoing, these people who arrive in the name of jihadism, of hadith, I don't even know what it is. They're not jihadists, they're terrorists. When you meet them, most of them do not know how to recite the slightest verse of the Quran, yet they say Allah and they kill. They have with them compasses, and the most sophisticated weapons which are probably not manufactured here in Niamey. There is a problem from this point of view. So it is clear that when we attack these two aspects of our economy, it is asphyxiation, it is condemnation, it is quite simply killing.
This is in my last stop. What he said also makes a lot of sense when he said that these insurgents cannot quote the Quran, I quote the scripture in the Quran. Why? Because they are not actual insurgents. They are mercenaries who is disguising themselves as insurgents and causing trying to destabilize the progress the Sahel countries are making. That's one of the reasons why they still have the borders close to Benin, because so that they are training in Benin, and they are here listening to the colonizers and the Europeans, and they are still trying to destabilize the country. They are also still trying to attack President Ibrahim Traore. That's like 4 attempts on his life so far. So what he's saying is 100% right, which is security is important, so they have to make sure they take care of the people, and that's why he's putting the IMF and notice that we know what you're doing. We can finance our own security. We don't need your help with that and stuff like that. But let's listen to the rest of the speech, and then I'll close it off.
On ECOWAS, I think things need to be clear. When I hear these are the main articulations, it's as if we have to return to ECOWAS. But we still have to know that ECOWAS owes a lot to our country. From President Diori, peace to his soul, who was part of its founding. All those who know the history know very well what happened. They had already started talking, obviously, of an organization which had to work on solidarity, on the sharing of production, and on support after that time and for its soul. And we know that it was during his period that ECOWAS was created, and we know the role played by President Diori and all the presidents who came after him. President Ali Sabu, peace to his soul, had played a very big role in the reconstitution of the security sector, first at home and also in the region. In the community region, and we must not forget that it's him who led the ECOWAS parliament. President Barre, peace to his soul, who contributed to bringing closer through bilateral relations with Nigeria. The president who did not have much time but who still safeguarded relations is also President Tanya, peace to his soul. President Issoufou and President Mr. Bazoum, everyone, all the Nigerian presidents have contributed greatly to the life of this institution. What happened when they made the decision to punish us? We at one point heard that Niger did not want to negotiate. No, these are untruths. We sent 4 ministers. That is the minister responsible for justice, who is sitting there, the chief of staff of the head of state, the minister of foreign affairs, and the spokesperson for the government. It is important that you know that when they went, they did so with the aim of negotiating. Our Nigerian partners, a certain number of those around the head of state have threatened our country. They said their country has 1 million soldiers, and they are going to invade us. ECOWAS, whose objective is solidarity, whose mission is culture of peace, whose mission is the principle of redistribution on the economic level, it abandoned its missions, it started talking about war and attacking our country. It has forgotten the economy, it talks politics, it has forgotten solidarity, and it closes the borders. This is unacceptable. We have done everything to ensure that ECOWAS understands that Niger is a major player in respecting what ECOWAS can provide. Rest assured, that we carried out impact studies before making the decision on an economic level, and precisely, including during the period of sanctions. It is a little more than 1.2 trillion francs in impact of these sanctions. So all that was left for us to do was to leave. We were tired of war, and when we look at these 4 presidents in total, who turned on each other, and at the end, it's only one who came out to say we are going to attack them. And when we said it last week, it is not a figment of the mind that the only border that has remained watertightly closed is the one with Benin. You all suffer from it the days. What is the reason why they can do it? Then in short, we took the decision to withdraw because we made the obvious observation that the decision that had been taken within ECOWAS is not right. It's not even on the continent. Everyone knows that. What are we going to do? Continue to say no, we accept everything? No, so I would have liked to hear a more important detail on what we made as a decision to go and create the AES, which had the Confederation last week. I would have liked to hear, and that we must not forget, even if it is in the context, remember the risk that the country has taken on the presence of foreign troops here. It is important that you know that we received the American delegation. General Modi is sitting there. I explained to the lady who chaired the delegation that we have here, the one who led our army, the former Chief of General Staff of the armies, who is today Minister of State in charge of national defense. I would like to ask him the question before you what he knows, how many American soldiers are there on our territory, and what they are doing. He is present here, he said he knows nothing, and that is true, and do we want us to leave these people on our territory, our country? We are sovereign. When we left for the spring annual meetings of the IMF and the World Bank, we filed a formal visa application for Prime Minister and ministers. But when an American soldier or a senior officer lands at Niamey Airport, he's just with a simple identity card. Is that a respect for our country? So they were put back on the plane, and is that a fault? No. At the State Department, when we were received twice, the first time was at our request, and the second time at their request. We told them that, okay, you are in Agadez, would you accept that our soldiers go to Texas, to stay there at your place? There was no answer, and we have always said, and I think that is your opinion too, that we prefer to have American investors who come to invest in the economy, and they know how to do it perfectly well. They're great workers, they are hard-working people, rather than having soldiers who we do not even know what they are doing here. There is no animosity, none. I assure you, whether it is the French who left or the Americans, there is no animosity. We are sad about the situation, but are aware of our own responsibilities. We will work together. I would like to once again thank you for this analysis. We totally share it. We will gradually work to get back to the basics. We are going to reserve your place for you, because once again, there is no country that has developed when its private sector does not contribute to the economy. You are the kingpin. And the head of state gave instructions, we ourselves passed on these instructions, so that we can already sit down and see how we must continue to further clean up the environment, so that it is conducive to the attraction of investors. I remembered an important word, which is national preference. It's true that we have to give you. There's no justification for reserving work for foreigners when we have skills locally that can provide this perfectly well, and we're going to make sure that you be privileged.